Well, hello guys, and welcome back to the channel for the third and final time today. I bring you the review of this week and last week's chapter of One Piece 829, of its name the Yonko Charlotte Lilin the Pirate, and 830 of its name He Who Gets Bet On. I don't think this title is translated in the most appropriate way because I don't know if it shouldn't be betted on. But I don't know. My English sometimes is a little bit rough. So anyway, all jokes aside, let us begin with the reviews. My God, sorry, my throat is completely dried out. I've been recording these videos non-stop. Starting with 129, the cover, it's a really cool cover. I mean, Luffy looking to eight little frogs, each of them depicted as one of the members of the Straw Hats. And they all look adorable. Chopper is the most adorable out of them. It just gives, I just want to go there and squeeze those little cheeks out. But anyway, and this is a continuous celebration towards the new film One Piece Gold. And we get a very, very cool cover regarding that. We see on one side Tesoro's crew, and we see on the other the Straw Hats crew, and in the background we see three people: Rob Lucci of the CP0, Sabo, and the how was he called? The guy from the Revolutionaries, the new guy from the Revolutionaries that they'll introduce in this movie. I forgot his name. Something to do with Star, I believe. I don't know. I'm quite excited for this movie. My only regret is that the movies are not canon, because this movie has all the potential to be a canon movie. But since it's probably going to be set after Dressrosa, because it contains some follow-ups to Dressrosa, like Sabo's reappearance, the introduction of Gear 4, the appearance of Rob Lucci. It will even feature Don Flamingo in some way. I don't know if in a flashback manner or... But then there's problems like Sanji and Nami, Brook and Chopper being with them when they were in Zou. And I don't know, unless if this was to be canon, it would have to be set way down the line when we can get the crew together again. And even then there would be problems like Nami's new weapon is not present in the movie. So overall, the movie is going to be cool, I have no doubt of that, but I wish it could be a canon movie for once. I think the last three, well, two, three counting with this one, but the One Piece film Z and the One Piece Strong World, they had a lot of potential to be canon movies. Strong World can almost be considered a canon movie because we know that Shiki is a canon character. He was mentioned by Sengoku. I don't know if it was Sengoku, but it was mentioned by someone as being the first person to ever escape from Impel Down. Z, it could be. There are no major plot points in Z for it not to be considered a canon movie. Gold, however, even though it's written by Oda, it cannot be considered a canon movie as of now. Unless... No, it can't, because it has Gear 4. If it didn't have Gear 4, if it was just Sabo and Lucy appearing, they could easily say, okay, they appear, but they don't interact with Luffy. We see them because we're seeing these from their perspective, not from anyone else's perspective. Luffy doesn't know that Sabo is alive, but we find out now. It would be something cool. But anyway, let us stop talking about the movie. Maybe I'll review the movie when it comes out and when I am able to watch it. So, yeah, what do you guys think about that? Do you want me to make a review of the movie? You know, if you want to. The comment section down below is yours to use and abuse, so please do give me more work because I'm going to need it. Anyway, the chapter starts with them leaving Coco Island and starting to navigate their way through the route that Purin designed for them. And Nami starts explaining how they should navigate it, and it is indeed, as I predicted, by the needles on the log post. So number 2 indicates that they should follow the second needle, and that they will not stop in any island in the way. And we see the slugs, and we see them traversing around the slugs. And so she leaves Brooke with the job of captaining the ship and following the map, while she's going to prepare some food. And Pedro and Carrot swap places on the on the crow's nest, and Pedro starts talking a little bit about the environment around them. And we notice that he knows a lot more of that than we thought. And he says, well, I've been here before. And when he's about to tell something, a giant centipede appears and they prepare to battle. Luffy, Pedro, Brook and Carrot all prepare to battle the giant centipede while Nami and Chopper run the hell out of the way. Meanwhile, in Cocoa Island, apparently Big Mom has gone on a rampage. They call it an illness. I don't know if this can be considered an illness much as an addiction, probably. Most likely an addiction should be a better name for it. And she's apparently looking for something called crocambouche. I don't know if I pronounced this correctly. I probably didn't. My French is a little bit rusty as of late. But it is a decorative sweet made of piled cream puffs. And apparently, there's a group of cream puff tourists in town. How can candies be staying in town as tourists? I just don't know. I mean, is there a race of candy? Is there a race of animated candies, alive candies, so to say, that can be eaten like normal candy? And we see that Big Mom is really tearing down the capital. That which was once an happy scenario when she was introduced is now a scenario of devastation. The trees are destroyed, the flowers are stepped on, the candy canes are broken. Big Mom left nothing but a trail of destruction on her way. She even grabs the sun and throws it. The sun apparently exploded and set flames to its surroundings. And she's gone back to the city and she's starting to eat everything. She destroys everything and she's starting to eat everything. We see a lot of people gather at this meeting. I want to think that they are the ministers of the various cities. I also believe that some of those ministers might be Big Mom's husbands, not all of them, but I believe that some of them might be her husbands. But now we see a very King Kong-like scene where Big Mom is just on the top of the tower and brandishing the umbrella and eating everything with her mouth open and just taking everything that she can get her hands on and eating everything. And then someone appears, one of her sons, Muscat. I don't know what's that pronounced. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He tries to play. He's the gelato minister, so one of her sons is one of the ministers, but that doesn't mean that all of her sons are. Well, it might be, but who knows? He's the gelato minister, and he's the 16th son of the Charlotte family. Gelato minister Charlotte Muscat. And he says that what she wants is coming, but she needs to wait for 30 minutes. And then another son or daughter, but apparently a son, and a younger son, I believe, is telling to him that it's impossible to stop her when she gets like that. And then she starts attacking her son. And then out of nowhere, she just goes like and says life or treat in a very menacing way. She's crazed. Her eyes are spirals. She is crazed out. She's drooling all over the place. And people around her realize what she's about to do. She's going to kill Muscat. And she does. Something starts coming out of Muscat. And she just goes and grabs that gooey stuff, tears it out, and says 40 years. And then just, I don't know if she eats it. There's really not an indication on that. But Muscat just falls unconscious to the ground. One of his sisters and the other brother that was speaking just watched, and other citizens just watched in shock as Big Mom just killed one of her own sons. This lady is not for show. She's a pirate through and through. She's mad. She goes leaps and bounds to obtain what she wants. And in this case, what she wants is a candy. So she keeps destroying town, but then out of nowhere and with the candies, coming with the candies appears the captain of the Sun Pirates, former Shichibukai, and the next member of the Straw Hat crew, Jinbei. And with the bush, the candies, you know. And it just leaps on and feeds all of them in Big Mom's mouth in a hole, and she just, and suddenly she starts smiling and goes on screaming delicious, and my God, this scene is disturbing. It is disturbing, really. We see the candy in her mouth just. Before they were like, oh no, we don't want to be eaten. But then they're like, oh, but if we're that delicious, oh, okay, then it's fine. If we're delicious, we're okay with being eaten by you. Oh my God. And I was like, oh, Jesus. And then we are formally introduced to the Yonko, captain of the Big Mom Pirates, Queen of Totland, Charlotte Lilin. And we discovered that Jinbei actually gave the poneglyph as a gift to Big Mom. I don't know if he made it so that the poneglyph is safe. It could be an option, because with Big Mom, no one's gonna mess with Big Mom over a poneglyph. And then he says that he has something to discuss with her. And again, she has a very menacing look. People were always thinking that Big Mom was the weakest of the Yonkos. I don't know about weak, but man, does she give off a presence and a half. This woman is scary. She just goes like, you wouldn't be considering to leave my crew now, would you? I mean, I'm static. I want to hear Big Mom in the anime. Sorry. I want to find out as quickly as I can who is going to be Big Mom's voice, because I want to hear it. I want to hear it in the anime. And her laugh is like ma, like mama, but repeatedly. My God, Big Mom is turning out to be a very, very, very cool character. She's mad, she's ruthless, she's a pirate through and through. Before we move on to the next chapter, though, I want to comment something about Big Mom's power. I was speaking with a friend of mine last week when the chapter was released, and he gave off a very good idea of what Big Mom's powers can be and I added a little bit of spice of my own. So this is a mixed theory. It's not only of my um, of my design. It's sort of a conjecture theory, and he gave me permission to tell her to you guys. So what he thinks is that that gooey stuff that left Muscat's body when Big Mom said live or treat, it's actually his vital force. That's pretty self-explanatory. So that what left Muscat's body is his life force. Now he thinks, and I also think, that Big Mom is able to use that gooey stuff, that life force, and give life to everything. That's why we saw the life trees, the life candies, the life sun, everything. Maybe maybe she's been using that, and that's what she does to her enemies. She takes their vital force and then gives life to various things. Candies, trees, I assume that everything is made of candy. The trees, however, look a little bit woody. They look real trees. They don't look candy trees. They look real trees. So maybe the same way that you remember Moria was able to give a shadow to a tree or to a zombie tree and made it come to life, Big Mom might be able to do that, but on the next level. She might be able to create live things from taking the life energy of someone, thus killing that person, and give it to another object, or I don't know if she can do it to another person. I doubt that, because and that's when our theories separate, because my friend believes that all her sons were made that way. He believes that they are not human of flesh and bone. He believes that they are made of candy or any other material, and she gave them life by using her power on someone else, taking their lifespan and give it to her now created sons. I don't think so. I think that all of her sons are of flesh and bone, and the next chapter kind of proves that a little bit with another of her daughters being presented to us. Speaking of which, let us move on to the next chapter, chapter 830, He Who Gets Bet On. We continue with the From the Decks of the World cover story, the 500 million man arc. Yes, the 500 million man arc, volume 20, Shabondi Archipelago. And we see Rayleigh reading a journal and playing some dice with some other fellas, and he's betting on five. I don't know if it's five dices with a five face. I know roughly how the dice game works, but I don't know if he's betting on that. And he's just reading the newspaper, probably reading about Luffy's most recent endeavors. Anyway, the chapter begins a few hours earlier than the end of the next chapter, when Jinbei is talking about his admiration for Luffy and how he wants to sacrifice himself for Luffy's well-being. And he's saying this to his whole crew. And they are just like, okay, you gave up a lot of your life for us. So it's only natural that now you should be able to pursue your own dreams. And they say, you defected from being the captain of Neptune's army to sail with us, former slaves. You accepted the Shichibukai state just to elevate Fishman Island into the world. And you even joined Big Mom to save us all and the kingdom. So just go. You've done enough for us already. Do something for yourself now. This is a very cool response from their crew. But now it comes the realization that if he wants to leave Big Mom's crew, that must come at a cost. And thankfully, it's not Jinbei the one that's married, it's actually Aladdin, his vice captain. He's married to the 29th daughter of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Praline, a half mermaid, a hammerhead shark half mermaid. So A hammerhead shark fishman mixed with a female, with a mermaid. So I wonder, is she the product of a hammerhead shark with Big Mom? Is that so far? In fact, another friend of mine, I don't know if she would like me to tell you who she really is, but she put the hypothesis of interracial relationships in One Piece. And I was like, at first I was like, well, that doesn't sound possible. But then I remembered the Linger, who is a half fighting fishman. So somewhere along the lines, a human had to mate with a fighting fish. Anyway, the same happened here, and Big Mom had to, well, mate with a hammerhead shark. And it appears that even though she's a little sarcastic and I want to say not even a little bit explosive, she's a nice person. She starts yelling at Aladdin like, "Oh, are you planning to deserting or anything?" No, no, no. She's like messing with him, and then and then Aladdin says, "No, no, I'm sure we'll be able to negotiate with her." And she's like, "Negotiate? There's no need for that." And she hugs him, and she's like, "You know, I choose you over Mama." So, oh, and they'll be like, "Oh, so cute, such love." And then the crew be like, "Oh my God, they are so in love, so cute." And and then Jinbei says, "Well, do you really think that Mama is going to be all that mad if we leave her crew?" And she says, "Well, you wouldn't be the first to try. Remains to be seen if you'll be the first to leave with life." And now we go back to Whole Cake Island, the capital sweet city, when the authorities are removing Moscato's. And last chapter it was Muscat with Muscat. Now is Moscato, Moscato. So I don't know why the change. Maybe the names changed or they translated it wrongly last chapter. And now we see the other son, which is called Mondor, talking to a dark figure telling do not leave for even a single second. And we don't even get to know what those things are. We just see them there and we were like, okay. And then we see a little kid asking if Jinbei will also be killed. And the guy says he doesn't know because if she's enraged, not even her son can escape. And then in Big Mom's palace, it is as we see, Jinbei wants to cut ties with Big Mom. And then the candies are like, oh please don't leave. And then she's like, okay, he's a pirate. He should leave free. I don't care about his reasons. Just go. And I was like, this is not going to end well. But then she goes on. Okay, but breaking a bond between a child and a parent is something bad. You leave a huge void and it will cost me dearly. So you need to give me something valuable. And then she's like, bring the roulette. And she asks, what exactly will you be losing? And we see the roulette with 4 spaces, 2 heads, 2 arms, 2 legs, and the symbol of, I don't know if that means death. It probably means death. Even though it's not the crossbones, it probably means death. Even though losing an arm or losing a head would mean death as well. Maybe the face with the crown means that it stays in the crew. Probably that's an option. I don't believe there's an option to leave freely without without going to without suffering one of these. Before I move on, let us stop to consider how serious this is. The topic of amputations has been a recurrent topic in One Piece as of lately. In Dressrosa, we've seen Kiros cut off his own leg. In Zou, we've seen Inuarashi's leg and Nekomamushi's arm being cut. Well, we haven't seen them being cut off, but we see the aftermath of them being cut off. And now there's a possibility that Jinbei will also lose something. Two things. Either the roulette is rigged and like the head figure is the one, the losing head figure is the one that appears, or by any chance, if the crown figure is indeed you'll stay in the crew kind of thing, that will be the one in which Jinbei will fall. So he will be forced to stay with the crew. Because, first of all, if Jinbei loses a limb, forget the heads, because if he loses his head, he's dead. But if he loses one of his limbs, imagine he loses a leg. It will affect his mobility, both in land and both in water. If he loses one arm, it will affect his combat prowess. So either way, his usefulness to the Straw Hat crew will not be as much as if he was, whole. If he loses an arm, it's better to lose a leg than to lose a leg, I believe. But still, I don't think that he should lose anything. I don't want him to lose anything. I'd much rather that the roulette would stop on the you will stay in the crew, if it really is that. Because then it would mean, okay, you lost your chance. You'll have no other chance to even think about leaving the crew. That could be what it means. Because if not, I believe it will be bad if he loses something. I don't think it would be cool to see that. But anyway, it's not up to me. It's not up to me to decide. Now, going forward to nighttime, we see that the crew is stuck in a gooey sea, like caramel sea, maybe. They don't actually say what's the sea made of, but they just say that they need to melt the stuff, so it's probably caramel or some other sort of candy. Oh no, it's mizuame. I haven't read this the first time I read it, so it's a sweet syrup. It says here in the translation. I'm not familiar with this, but it's a sort of a candy. It's a sort of a syrup. So, and for the night, the sea gets frozen, sort of frozen, and we see some ants that live in this sea at night, and Brook has put them to sleep. And Pedro keeps going on that the last time he was here, the ship got eaten down by these same ants. And then Luffy asks, but what were you doing here? And we finally get to know a little bit about Pedro's past. He was a pirate once. But he didn't know he was being a pirate. He thought he was just simply exploring, and then he ended up with a bounty on his head. I wonder how high his bounty was. And he said he was with Peckham's along the way, but only midway. They were on a journey to discover poneglyphs to give to Nekomamushi. And then one day, they come across Big Mom's territory, and that would be the last day of their journey. I want to believe that probably that was the day when Peckham's allied himself with Big Mom. That was the day when Peckham's betrayed, sort of, the Minks to stay with Big Mom. Maybe that was the only way for the other Minks to live safely. Most probably it was. But I don't think that Peckham's didn't have a slight want to stay with Big Mom of his own free will. And now it keeps on giving. He's talking about again the road poneglyph, that the last time that they showed the road poneglyph to anyone besides the Kozuki clan was 26 years ago, when Gold Roger and his crew came to Zou. And Pedro says that if they are showing the road poneglyph to them, it means that they believe that they are seeing similarities between both crews, which is as we expect it to be. Now Pedro keeps talking about the poneglyphs as how he should steal Big Mom's poneglyph, and he offers himself to do such. Even Luffy wants to go with him, but he says, no, you focus on rescuing Sanji, you leave this to me. And then Brook says something. Most people don't pay a lot of attention to what Brook says, but Brook now says, I suppose Luffy was simply born with this kind of fate. It's not, I know, I suppose Luffy was born like this, like a good guy. They gave an emphasis to this kind of fate. And even someone goes, you say something, Brook. And he goes, oh, no, nothing. I'm not much different, I guess. And the things just live. And the conversation just dies there, because meanwhile the ants are awake. Most people forget that Brook is a hard veteran. Brook is 100 years old. Granted, he spent 15 years wandering around the Florian Triangle, but before that, he knows a lot of things. And I refuse to believe that this sentence was just a senseless sentence. I want to believe that there's more to it than meets the eye. And the next morning, they finally arrive. Apparently, they have defeated the Hands. We don't know. But they finally reach Whole Cake Island, and seeing it from this angle, my God, just look how big it is. And the ship compared to it is nothing. And apparently there's someone waiting for them at the coast. We know that Pudding says she would be there, but I don't think it will be that easy. Because if it was Pudding, then they would say, oh, maybe Pudding is waiting there. If he's telling someone standing at the coast, it's probably no one they know yet. I think it may be a friendly person. I don't think it will be any hostile, at least not now. Because, I mean, if they just got there and are already attacked, then GG for the rest. So I think it will be someone friendly, but it remains to be seen. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Sorry for that it needed to be a double chapter. Last week I had some things to do. I had an exam last week. It didn't go well, so I could have recorded last week. But anyway, stop talking about the past. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Next week we have a fresh batch of chapters to review and record and discuss, and every little thing we love to do. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll see you next video.